Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're dissecting bad science. And I need to be clear right up front. Ben Goldacker's Bad Science isn't a book about stupid people falling for obvious nonsense. Bad Science is a book about clever rooms. The real danger in bad science, what Ben Goldacker's actually warning us about, is how a calm, perfectly formatted claim can completely steal the wheel of your judgment without you even noticing. We're going to look at the hidden cost of what happens when really smart people stop one link too early.
You have outsourced your mind to whoever made the chart look calm. That's visceral, isn't it? As we've explored in our past looks into building an architecture of trust, directionless minds do not need more claims thrown at them. What we need is a stable architecture for belief. Because without it, we just end up falling for the props of evidence, completely handing over our critical thinking to whoever happens to have the best graphic design.
And that brings us to the core of the problem: evidence theater. These are the props of method: a calm chart, a confident tone, maybe someone in a lab coat. These props quiet the mind long before any actual method or rigor even begins. The mere label of evidence acts as a sedative, completely replacing the actual chain of proof. It leaves us with this feeling of motion, a feeling of being informed, but with absolutely no structural architecture supporting it. I make good decisions because I reject obvious nonsense and ask for evidence. I know you believe this. Honestly, I believe this too. It feels like the ultimate responsible defense against hype. You want proof, and that is completely valid. I really wish this weren't true, but look at where it leads. The very act of demanding evidence can secretly become a highly dangerous finish line.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how the illusion of proof operates. Bad science is incredibly effective because it doesn't just lie to you outright. It shows you one true brick, but completely hides the fact that there's no load-bearing wall. It shows you one single study, but obscures the flawed method behind it. It highlights one credentialed expert, but hides their financial incentives. You're staring at a single true thing that's being used to support a massive invisible lie.
This leaves us in a really heavy dilemma. If you trust the expert completely, you risk being blindly led and used. But if you reflexively distrust the expert, you risk becoming the crank, shutting out all light and truth. Both of these choices just feel like failure.
They feel like failure because they're both symptoms of the exact same misunderstanding. They mistakenly make trust a person issue. Who do I believe? Rather than a process issue. The question isn't, is this expert good? The question is, can I inspect the chain? Critical thought can't just be a skeptical mood or some badge you wear. It has to become a load-bearing architecture. You just need a route to trace.
Let's see how this builds into our core framework, the blueprint test. Ask yourself, can this claim carry you from the initial observation all the way to a real-world action? Think of a blueprint drawn on tracing paper. It looks highly technical, right? It's got lines, marks, scale. But if you lift the page up, nothing actually stands there. True evidence requires a visible, physical load path of trust that you can actually test.
I can spot bias because I know what I want. We genuinely think our self-awareness acts as a foolproof auditor. But the reality is that our preference simply appoints itself as the judge, signs its own report, and calls it a day. The easiest person to fool isn't the completely naive believer. It's the skeptic with a shortcut. Your desire for a specific outcome can incredibly easily put on a lab coat and call itself data.
A strong mind is not closed. It has doors with hinges. Just being self-aware isn't enough to protect you. You need skilled, mechanical contact at the exact hinge where data becomes meaning. You have to push on the joint, because in the world of bad science, just one missing link or one broken hinge can make a completely true fact serve a wildly false claim.
Which brings us to another painful dilemma. Stay open to absolutely everything, and you risk being completely flooded, drowning in a sea of conflicting claims. Or set a hard, cynical rule, and you risk starving your mind and missing the truth entirely. I'm not sure where this leaves us. Let's just sit with it for a second. How do we survive when treating openness as mere volume just leads to exhaustion?
Well, the resolution is calibration. Openness isn't volume, it's calibration. Think of a master architect. She doesn't walk through a skyscraper checking every single nail. That'd be impossible. Instead, she checks the load path. She names the weak points that could actually bring the building down. A refined mind isn't just wide open to everything. It is well hinged and calibrated to inspect what actually bears weight.
Search your memory for a moment. What claim did you accept simply because the form felt adult? Notice the hidden cost there. When we do this, we trade rigorous method for a serious mood. We end up in a state of confident drift. We have all this motion, all this certainty, but absolutely no architecture beneath us. And so we return to our opening realization to reveal the sleight of hand. The calm chart didn't actually persuade you. The missing chain made the persuasion invisible. The chart arrived possessing the shape of thinking. It felt like method, but it was only stage design. Bad science isn't teaching us to just cynically sneer at the stage, it's teaching us how to walk behind it.
Okay, let's dive into this and look at the actual tools. Here is the repeatable inspection behavior required to trace the chain of any claim. Step 1. Who saw what? Step 2. How was it measured? Step 3. What was left out? Step 4. Who gained from the framing? And Step 5. What would change your mind? You don't need perfect recall to fight bad information. You just need this simple habit of slowing the chain down before your belief hardens.
Refusing the costume of evidence is literally an act of self-respect. True intellectual refinement isn't about memorizing more data or knowing more prestigious names. It's about flatly refusing to let those names do your seeing for you. It's about taking custody of the link between a claim and your own actions. It's about respecting your time and the reality you want to build.
The ultimate hidden cost of bad science isn't that fools get fooled. It's that careful, intelligent people stop one step too soon. They boldly demand evidence, but then they completely fail to inspect what that word is actually carrying when it arrives. Deep dive the philosophy. Inspect the chain. Before anything else tomorrow, you will take one claim you were ready to share, trace its evidence chain back 2 links, and write the missing link. Continue the internal transformation at upgowise.com. If you don't, you've chosen to stay exactly where you are.